Hariom, and thank you for joining in today. We are starting this short but beautiful text, Manah Shodhanam, and in 25 verses it's going to cover the journey to how we can, tame this mind, this mind which is like a monkey. Sometimes it is told, Gurudev used to say, this mind is like a monkey. Why? Because you don't know where it will go the next moment. It is always jumping here and there. And yet it is that, we're not really always focused at understanding this instrument of ours, which could be sometimes a friend and sometimes a foe, right? It is our own instrument, and yet, it as though becomes our boss and plays around with us. So, if it is our instrument, why not take the journey to understand it, to know it, and then to see how we can make it our true equipment to help us in this journey of self-realization, right? So this text, it is given to us by Puja Swami Tejomayananda, who's Guruji, whom we dearly know as Guruji, and he had written this text. Of course, when he has written this text, it also means that it is inspired by the Guru Parampara alone, right? So whenever we take to studying some text, we always give this respect as part of our, part of this initiation that we are doing into this inquiry. We always pay our gratitude to the Guru Parampara. Why is that? Because they have gone through their own intellection through the Sanatana scriptures, right? Through the scriptures which are eternal. They are not something, the scriptures are not something which will change. And to give us clarity on that, the sages who were at a level of purity, who had that Chitta Shuddhi and who had that Ekagrata, to tune into the scriptures, to meditate on them, and therefore not only, attain their goal of life, but they also had the compassion to share this knowledge with us, right? So of course you might say that it's my journey, right? It's my journey, so why not I live the experience and I find out? Because normally this is how we do, this is how we function in the world, right? Of course it's a different thing that, normally we, when we are studying officially, in our journey from school to college, right, we do refer to many texts which many professors have gone through, right, and compiled for us. But then when it comes to the practical part of it, it is we who have to live it, right? So you might say that why not, why not I understand myself clearly? So when I am trying to understand myself clearly, I might get lost on the journey. And therefore it is that in order to gain clarity, we refer to that which the rishis have lived and given us this wisdom, right? Through Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, right? The process of gaining that clarity, gaining not just the knowledge, having clarified whatever doubts through manana, reflected on it, contemplated on it, to gain that clarity in knowledge, then alone were they able to abide in this knowledge, right? And therefore theirs is that, tried and tested method, and therefore we are always referring to what the rishis have passed on to us, right? But now when we are talking of this mind, right, we might want to know why this effort we need to take to do this Shodhanam, Shodhanam over here, it is, of course, it is not what we refer to in Hindi or in other local regional languages. Shodhanam might mean searching, right? But here when we say Shodhanam, it is to do Shuddhikarana. Okay? Shuddhikarana mane to purify the mind. So then you might say that, oh, so are you assuming that the mind is pure and then it has become impure and therefore we have to do this purification process? So yes, of course, this is why we are looking at it, right? Because getting dirty doesn't require effort, right? There are so many ads nowadays of washing soap, etc., where they will show these kids playing in the dirt on their way to school and getting dirty. And then of course, they say that okay, to get dirty, that is habitual only, right? But to clean it up, there is where the effort is required, right? So to get this, to get the mala, okay? So there is this word mala. What is mala? Mala is dirt. So we have this space, right? And this space is sparkling clean. Right? There is no particles inside it which will cause any kind of dirt to happen, right? And then suddenly what happens? The window opens and the wind comes in. And with it, what will happen? With it, if there is some kind of, dry leaves, some kind of dirt over there, that will fly in, right? So what has happened? That space which was clean is now having some dirt particles in it, right? So what has happened? As a result of that, we will say that it is not absolutely clean. So someone has to clean up that space, right? So here too, when we say that there is mala in this mind, which naturally, or rather in its essence, should be pure. Okay, so what is being said over here is that the mind which is said to be by its nature pure as in without any kind of distractions. So when we say this, if I might ask, whom would you say is a pure person? Who do you think is a pure person? And I invite people to raise your hand. You can use the raise button from the reactions and you can just raise your hand and let me know who would like to answer the question. So who do you think is a pure person? What do you think is the mark of a pure person? Or do you think that there is no such thing as pure person in today's day and age? Simple answer, anyone, If you come to meet someone who is comparatively pure, how would you recognize that purity in that person? Yes, Adi Veluruji. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
There might be many attributes. One thing that comes to mind is equanimity in all situations. Anybody who can do that consistently, I would consider as pure.
Okay. Someone who is balanced is not, getting deterred in any way when someone is provoking or someone is saying something criticizing the person, or someone is, say, making some kind of compliments to the person doesn't get elated, right? So someone who is someone who is balanced is what is Adi saying. Any other reaction to that? Yeah, Sandhya, go ahead.
The one who doesn't have any wishes about anyone in one's own mind.
Okay. So as in not thinking anything bad about someone, or this is what
or
you're saying.
whatever, although you have differences with others, or someone insulted you, or anything happened, something bad, but then also the person is, as someone said, remain balanced
Okay.
and doesn't have any ill wills about others.
Okay. One who does not, carry too much of baggage is able to respond to situations the way it has to be. Fine.
Yes.
Rajtaji, go ahead.
For me, a baby, a puppy, somebody who just lives in the moment and not bothered by what others say or do is pure.
Okay, fine. Someone who is absolutely innocent, you think that person is pure. Okay. Yes, Rajaji.
Somebody whose presence you feel a very calm feeling. A person, when I would give the example that comes to mind is Guruji himself. When you're in his presence, it's a different feeling altogether.
So someone who doesn't make you feel insecure or doesn't in any way cause any kind of distraction for you or anything. Someone who just makes you feel, completely at ease in their presence is someone who is pure, is what Rajaji is saying. Yes. So when we say this, right, one is that, when we say that someone is pure, the obvious thing is that that person is aligned at body, mind and intellect level, right? Our equipment, it comprises of these three. One is the physical body, second is the mind, the emotions, and the third is the decision making faculty, which is said to be the intellect or buddhi, right? So one who is integrated in all three and is able to translate thought to word to action, right, is pure. Because there is no distraction, right? There is no kind of insecurity which will make me feel any kind of anger might arise, or any kind of likes or dislikes might arise, which might cause some kind of thought agitation, right, in the mind, right? What happens is, when there is a desire which comes in, the next thing is the desire leads to my likes or dislikes, raga or dvesha, and then there is the other emotions which come in, right? So these are basically which affect my thinking, right? So when I want to be in my present, I want to be in my present situation, but if my past is pulling me, right, or my future, whether I will get the desired result or no by doing this action in certain way, or if I don't do it, what will happen? So all this anxiety or worry which will come in, if it is distracting me in the present, what is happening? I am not going to be able to perform. I will not be able to make decisions. I will be a confused person, right? Or I might not be able to give my 100% to that which I am performing, right? This is what normally also happens with us, right? So this mind, when it gets distracted or when it is not available to me, right, then what is happening? Then I am not able to give my 100%. So one who is completely in the present is a pure person, we might say, right? In that case, this is how we will say, right? And what further does is that this, just as when we get dirty in the, if we're traveling and say some there is water and say that water splashes on us, what happens? We will say that, oh, I need to immediately go and clean myself, right? And it is not just water which will do, I'll need to do a thorough job of it, right? And then this cleanliness has its different aspects also. Sometimes though we don't have the time, so what do? We just do some dry cleaning for ourselves, right? So does that give us a feeling of cleanliness though? That's a different thing, right? So, and this cleanliness aspect is also something that affects not just ourselves, it affects our surroundings, right? The people around us, and not just the people, the beings around us also. It is said that even plants etc. are affected not just by the dirt, right? Of course plants and all there won't be the dirt aspect over there, but if a person's thinking is not pure, right, it is said that such people, we sometimes we say that person didn't give me a good vibe, right? So one who is impure in thought, immediately puts the other person at an alert level, right? One will say that, this person, I think I should be careful of this person, right? So it kind of takes away the ease from our transactions in the world when there is some kind of impurity within us, right? That which takes away the ease from my own thinking is also going to bring about that same atmosphere wherever I go. Okay, so this therefore definitely we need to work at cleaning, right? Bringing about that purity in ourselves. Why again, if you might say, then if we say that if I need to gain some knowledge, right? So what is important for that? One is that I have to be available and listening. So my reception of that knowledge has to be clear, right? So even when when people got into this online mode, right, the first thing people would do is that check if my network is clear or no. If my network is 100%, then immediately when we start talking, we just say, am I audible? Am I seen? Are you able to see my screen? Right? So what were we always checking? If there is a clear connection or no, right? So to have that clear connection between our mind and the physical equipment, right, so that I transact to the best level in the world, it is important that those signals that my senses are giving to my mind, and that which my mind is connecting with my intellect, right, and then further coming down to my equipment for effecting that action, it has to happen in a smooth transition, right? And this integration will happen only when this mind equipment is available 100%, right? If there is some kind of impurity, then it is not going to give me that 100% result that I am wanting, right? To perform to my best level, it will not be there, right? So whatever knowledge I am also getting from my intellect, I will not be able to digest it well through my mind and my sense objects, right? So here this it is definitely that it has to be vital that our mind has to be purified, right, and that we have established. But then when we say that, okay, then what happens as a result is, one is that my mind is available to me, two is there is no distractions, my focus is there completely, right? Then two, there is clarity in thought, right, and clarity in my actions also, correct? And then this also leads to what we are aspiring for. At some part of our evolution, we are aspiring for that higher level of thinking, right, which is not limited to my worldly needs alone, right? It is also something that I aspire for that bliss or for that pure happiness that I want, or that unending happiness that I aspire for, which I might not get through worldly achievements. Okay. So, this mind is that instrument which is going to give me that, and through this mind alone I can conduct that inquiry, right, into myself, right. So, for which I know I need two things. One is Chitta Shuddhi, which is that purity, and second is Chitta Ekagrata, which is that concentration, that single pointed focus that I need, that I will get through these two. One is Chitta Shuddhi, that is purity, and second is Chitta Ekagrata, single pointed focus on my goal, whatever, and this applies also to any other achievement in the material world also, fine. So, for this, three things that I have to have in alignment is, one is that I should be able to receive, that reception should be clear. Two is that it has to be retained within me, retention should be there. And three is I should be able to recollect whatever I have retained. Okay. So, RRR, right. So, there is the reception, there is the retention, and there is the recollection, and then normally what happens is, when we just say suppose we are listening to this talk or any other talk, and we are fully thoroughly enjoying also and everything, and we might even take notes, and then afterwards 1 hour, 2 hour later we go back and someone asks us, so how was that session? Did everything go well? So, yeah, it was amazing. I felt so refreshed, right? So, then kya sikha? Then somehow we are not able to recollect the points that we had noted. I am not saying that it happens with everyone, but sometimes it does happen. And why does this happen? One is because, we are not fully there. Though we are there, what has happened? Maybe we were so exhausted by the day long, work, etc. And not just that, there was so much of friction in my entire day's, activities, that I am not able to quieten down. So, unless I quieten down, I am not able to be available to receive that knowledge. So, my listening is not 100%. Okay. And therefore, though I listen and I am agreeing to whatever is being said, I enjoy, even it could be a musical performance or anything, right? I might enjoy it. But then, if I am not fully there, later on if I have to reproduce it, recollect it, it will not come to me 100%. And this happens to most of us, right? Unless, we are taking that time daily to do some sadhana. Okay. So, what is this sadhana? Sadhana is that cleansing process for us. Okay. So, that which I do on a day-to-day basis, it might be starting from 15 minutes only. When I wake up, I take the time to sit quietly, right? First of all, also I take the time not just to get up and wake up and cleanse myself. Then I go and sit down quietly. I do some japa. I do some reading for myself, right? And then sit down quietly with a quiet mind. I try to dwell on those thoughts that I have just read, right? On that knowledge that I have gained by that small portion of reading that I would have done, or the quietening which came about through that japa. Now I dwell on that, on those virtues of that deity that I have done japa on, right? So even this small bit of ritual, if I bring for myself, right, through this sadhana, and then whenever in the day also I take 2 minutes, 5 minutes break just to quieten myself. Because the din and roar of the world will continue. It is not going to be that it is going to stop. It is not going to be that, the pressures of the world are suddenly going to vanish away. No, that magic is not going to happen so easily unless I give myself that time to do some focused sadhana for myself in order to quieten myself, right? And from that quietness alone, I will be able to connect to my core, right? And then ultimately, what is it that we want to do? What is the purpose of our life, right? To attain that purpose of life, right? To know the core of myself, which is that Satchitananda. If I am muddled with a lot of worldly pushes and pulls, I am not going to be able to reach that, right? Why? Because I might even have grasped the knowledge. I might have even grasped the knowledge. Grasping the knowledge might not be so difficult. But then further to dwell on it, am I able to sit down and contemplate, do manana, reflection to clarify my doubts? And having gained some clarity, am I able to just quieten down and abide in that which I have grasped? Am I able to do that bit? So, we might think that that process is somewhere, somewhere very, very distant from achieving. But it is not so, okay. It is not going to happen in one go. I have to put in efforts for it. But to start on that process, I have to start daily putting in some time for myself, right? And that me time, who can do it? You only can do it for yourself. Just as no one else can give you rest, you have to take it yourself. So to this sadhana, we have to do for ourselves daily. We miss the time, doesn't matter. Do it at another time, right? But don't miss out on it, because this is something which is food for us, that nourishment for our own evolution that we have to take up, right? So basically this book by Pujya Guruji, Swami Tejomayananda, it is called the Manah Shodhanam, and Guruji has dwelt on these concepts from the Upanishads, from the Bhagavad Gita, right? And then reproduce them in these 25 verses, which are going to take us towards purification of the mind. And it is only by knowing the devil can you tame that devil also. So therefore that mana eva manushyanam karananam bandha mokshayoho. So this mind alone is the cause of the mind being this being, this person who is me being bound, and also the mind alone will be that instrument which will take me to that liberation. So keeping this in mind, we will take up the study, okay. And in order to do that, so one is that let me share. I did make a PPT for this. Okay, we saw most of the points here. So what is difference between pure and impure? If you might say that, but I am a good person, I do all good actions, I do charity, I wake up early, I do yoga, I do meditation, etc. So do you think I am pure, or do you think I am impure? So thing is that we might have a good lot of actions that we have been doing. We might have achieved the best in our life also. But over lifetimes, that which we have accumulated, that is causing this impurity to suddenly, manifest in us, right? So you might say like, what is pure and impure? So if you look at the Pandavas and Kauravas, they came from the same family clan. What was the difference between them? you might, because sometimes people say, when they have not really gone through the Mahabharata, right? Then people say that, क्या फायदा, दोनों तो एक जैसे ही थे, right? They were all fighting for their own selfish needs. Both were fighting for their land, etc. Yes, but there is a difference, right? One is that the Pandavas were always, striving for that dharma through, and they were always therefore siding with, they were always taking the support of Lord Krishna. Fine. Whereas the Kauravas, from their childhood, they were having some kind of wickedness in their thinking, right? And there are enough of evidences of that through the various stories. How Duryodhana tried to poison Bhima, or later also, just before the war also, what did he do? He went, rushed to Krishna to gain his support. But what kind of support did he seek? He sought the materialistic support, whereas Arjuna said, no Bhagavan, all I need is you, right? So like this, we might see also how there is a difference between those who are of a pure intent as compared to those who are of an impure intent. So, because there are, again, going to the Puranas, right, that there are enough of stories where it is mentioned that so much of tapas was done by so and so, and they gained so and so boon, right, so that they will never die, or they will not be killed by certain human or certain god, so much they did tapas for what need? For their own selfish gain, right? And therefore you had someone like Hiranyakashipu, who got what he wanted. He got the boon that he wanted. But throughout his life, what was the struggle? He was always insecure. He was always in fear that somehow that boon is not going to work, right? Why? Because his intent from the beginning was not right. And therefore, when you had a Prahlada, right, who was, who went through the worst of episodes, where he was, by his own father, he was thrown to different situations where his death would be sure, but he came out of that just by the purity of taking the Lord's name at all times, right? So there is different such situations where we see that what mattered was the good intent as against the bad intent, right? And why does this come about? That is what is told in the first verse, which Guruji says. Here he says, Paramatma dvayanandah sarvabhutasthitopiha ajnanena vruto drishtah tathaiva cha manomalaihi. So, Paramatma dvayanandah, Paramatma advayanandah sarvabhuta stitopiha ajnanena avruto adrishtah tathaiva cha manomalaihi. So what is he saying over here? So here in the first verse, what is he saying? First is, normally as is done in all our texts, the first verse is like the Mangalacharana. First verse is where we always pay our respect to the Bhagwan, to Guru Parampara, right? So that the study that we have taken, it comes about without any kind of obstructions, without any kind of hindrances, and we attain the purpose of that text, as the writer has taken up this whole study, right? So here Guruji says Paramatma. So here by that word Paramatma, what is being intended is that we bow down to that supreme self. So who is that Paramatma? That Paramatma is the one who is Advayanandah. Advaya Anandaha. Non-dual Anandaha, bliss. That Supreme Self, which is that non-dual bliss, where is it? You might ask, where is this? Where is this God? Where is this Supreme Self? So then he says over there, Sarva Bhuta Stitopiha. Though it is api, Sarva Bhuta Stitaha apiha. Though this self is residing in everyone. Everyone mane all beings, everywhere. Even that which seems inanimate. So that which is living, non-living, in everything, that Paramatma is residing in them, right? And yet, what is happening? And yet I am not able to reach it. Why am I not able to reach it? Or why am I not able to see this Paramatma? So he says, Ajnanena avruttaha adrushtaha. So because it is veiled by this ignorance, of the self, therefore it is adrushtaha. Adrushtaha, it is not that Lord or that Supreme Paramatma is not available for me to see through my senses. Tathaivacha manomalaihi. And so too, not just there is this ignorance, there is also the impurities of the mind. Okay? And because of this, I am not able to perceive that Paramatma who is available, all-pervading. Okay? So when we say all-pervading, what is this all-pervading? Would anyone like to? Because this is our first session, I would just like to understand what is your understanding. Then we can take up the terms accordingly. How would you say something is all-pervading? Is Venkapaji?
It's like space. Space or air.
Space or air, which is all-pervading. Okay.
In that everything will happen.
Okay, fine. So suppose, like say suppose I gave the example of this this mouse. So when you see it, what do you think it is? Any of you can answer. You can unmute yourself also. When you see something like this gadget, right, this mouse, what would you say it is pervaded by?
Space.
It is pervaded by space? No, I want more, pointed to this object. If I say the room, then you could have said space, fine. If I am saying this, or if you take this, cloth, right, this sari, what is it, what would you say is the pervading essence of this?
Cotton.
Yeah. So, it is that which is, it is that cotton which is in thread form, it is crisscross, and then when we look at the thread also, what is pervading that thread? It is that cotton, right? So, then you would say that this sari is more, pervaded by cotton, right? So, its substance, its essence is cotton. So, too, if I look at this katori here, right? So, what is its tattva or what is its essential substance? Is this steel, right? Or if we were taking that mouse, you would have said that it is plastic, fine. So too, when we say that, this Paramatma, Advayananda, non-dual. Non-dual means what? Can someone say what is non-dual? Advayananda means what? Go ahead, you can unmute yourself also.
There is no two about it. It's non-dual means just one.
It is one. It is one means it is one whole. It is not something which can be broken. It is not something which can be changed or modified. So it is not something which is born. It is not with something which will die, because all these changes or all these modifications are applicable to something which can become from one to many. So this is one, and therefore it is that one which is non-dual. It is not something which can be partitioned in any way. Okay. So when we are saying this Paramatma is that Advaya Ananda, bliss, right? And we are saying that it is all pervading, because also it is said over there, Sarva Bhuta Stitopiha. In all beings it is there. And when we are saying all beings, it means also in me it is there. It is also there in you also, right? It is there in everything, right? Which is animate, that is moving, which is having life, or that which is not having life also. Okay, this aspect we will take later. But basically when we are saying that, what are we saying? It is that which is that one. Just as the space is pervading everything, right, in this world, this Paramatma is that which is pervading the entire world, the entire universe, including this space. Okay, so the space is also that which is contained in it. Okay, so when we are saying this, and we are all agreeing in some way, right? Okay, here everyone is agreeing on it, right? Because when we say that there is this creation, there is this world, I see it, you see it, everyone sees it, right? None of us will say there is no world. There is this world, right? And when we say that there is this world, there is some creator of this world, right? There is some creating entity, there is some creator entity, and that we are calling as this Paramatma Advayananda. Okay, and that is everywhere. And yet what is happening? You will say that I am doing sadhana, I am attending class, I have done Shravana, I have tried doing Manana, but I am not seeing that Paramatma. So why is that happening? So therefore over there he says that is happening because the core reason is that because of this ignorance. Ajnanena avruttaha. Because of the veiling of this ignorance. Ignorance of what? When we say that veiling of ignorance, we don't have to imagine that there is one big parda, big veiling, which is on my eyes or inside my brain or covering this whole world. No, it is not like that. It is more that in my thinking, or that which is between my thinking and myself, okay, that which is like a veil, which is not really covering. Okay, it is not that because of it I am not able to see that self. That is true, because this instrument is that which is smaller than that self, right? That self is something which is by itself, which is unchanging, which is me. And this instrument which I have, right? So like say suppose I have these specs, this is my instrument for this body, for my eyes to see clearly, to have clarity in vision. So to my mind is there to give me clarity in my thinking. Okay, but right now that which is enabling my thinking, right, that is shrouded by this veiling of ignorance, and therefore I am not able to see that Paramatma which is my true self, which is that Advaya Ananda, right, non-dual bliss. And I'm saying that is me. And yet, I'm striving for that happiness every moment of the time, right? I'm doing all that I can to gain that happiness. Sometimes I get it, right? By getting something, by eating something, by going through some kind of experience. Yes, but that joy is short-lived and it ends in sorrow alone. So, what should I do now to gain that complete Ananda? What should I do to become that Purna Ananda? Right? For that, I have to clear this Manomalaihi, because not only is there the ignorance, there is also the impurities of the mind. Okay? And therefore, because of that only, those Pandavas and Kauravas were not able to attain that highest goal of life. Why? Because they were blinded by so many other obstructions that came into their thinking. So though Bhagavan was right in front of them, were they able to get that Sakshat Darshan? Not till they were able to overcome the hurdles of their mind, right? And so too here we have a whole lot of other malas, right? But where do these malas or these impurities stem from? So that is what, like if we look at the 6 impurities, right, which is the root cause of all our problems, right? One is desire, kama, and from desire comes, anger also, krodha. And of course, because I am going towards selfish desires, what is happening? There is going to be greed. So there is lobha. And out of all this, my thinking is clouded. So I am not able to think right, and I am not able to do that which is the right, which is the absolute right. I am not able to do it. Despite having the best of ideals in front of me, I am not able to achieve that highest purity or highest goal of life. Why? Because of this moha, this delusion which is clouding my thinking. And there is then the mother. Mother is envy, right? And so too is matsarya. Matsarya is jealousy. So all these, these 6 impurities, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, they are kind of like the outcomes, which are those particles which are obstructing my thinking at all times and not making me available, or rather not making my mind available to me to perform that which is the right course of action, right? So even if you say, even if you put it down to anxieties of the future, right, anxieties in the present, or worries of the past, or worry for the future, right, all these, what are they going to do? They are stemming from all these other, other secondary emotions that are coming as obstructions for me. And because of this, my mind is not allowing me to perform that which would otherwise be the right course of action. So I might have the knowledge, but I am not able to put it into practice, right? I might be attending classes, I might be able to do meditation, but then how far is that meditation effective? Am I able to, go around the world being that equanimous person without reacting at any point and just responding to all situations, knowing that it's only a play, right? So all this seems easy but not easy, right? So then further he says, jnanena tu tadajnane nashte bhati swayam hi saha satyame tattatapiha kashtamekam cha vartate. So not only is there, when we say that there is ignorance, it is bound to be cleared with knowledge, right? If you say that problem is that of ignorance, right, then what can clear it? Knowledge can clear it. So suppose I am ignorant of nanoscience, right? Fine. What should I do? I should take up a course and understand what that is. Fine. So with knowledge, the ignorance of one particular subject will go, right? But here what is it? Here it is this ajnana, right? This ignorance is veiling that supreme self from me, which we defined earlier as that Paramatma Advayanandaha, right? So when this veiling of ignorance is removed, the self will shine. By itself it will shine. I won't have to do anything, right? Though this is true, but it is not so easy to gain. Why is that? That we will see tomorrow. Okay, basically. So just wanted to establish the ground key. Why is there impurity and how we should approach, or what is the intent behind or objective behind attaining that purity of the mind. Why do we need to cleanse the mind? If Shravana is available, I can tune in and I can listen to whichever class. There are so many talks available, there are so many camps happening, the world is free to roam about now, everything is happening so instantly. But then what is stopping me from knowing that self which is me? And so there comes the hurdle, which is my own mind, which is my own instrument, and yet what is it doing? It is putting in these obstructions for me through this mala. Okay, and how do I counter this mala, right? And why do I counter this mala? That is what we are going to see through this enquiry over here. Fine. Okay, so I hope all of you have this book, Manah Shodhanam. You can check it up online also. This text is from Chinmay Mission, right? It is available on online also. Ebook is also, Kindle version is also available. You can check it up online, right? Or we'll also share probably the link in the WhatsApp group. Maybe it was there on the website as well. So probably you can check that, right? And as we go along, you can share your questions and queries also. Okay.